Hello and welcome back. It is still Channel Sport on Sunday, and I tell you this, it is still the Athletics Federation of Nigeria crisis. Right now, at the point we have two heads of the NFF. One is NFA, one is NFF. With basketball, we had two heads, and we didn't know to get to athletics. But at the end of the day, we come out of it and see if we can come out stronger. I have in the house a journalist by excellence, and also a board member of the AFN. He's from the Complete Sports Table. He oversees that. I love Mr. Dari Esan in the house. Hello, Dari.
Hello, Ken. I'm happy to be back here after so long.
After so long, yes. I know. I don't want to see what happened.
I know. I don't want to say this. Unless I will take you to 20.
You take the road again. Dari always says that, but I know he will take me wherever I ask him to take me. Okay, Dari, you had the president of AFN, Ibrahim Gusau here, and then you had most of the things he said.
Yeah.
What are your responses, to what he said?
Before I reply the suspended president,
Okay.
let me state clearly, based on your intro, we don't have two factions and we don't have two presidents in AFN. We have a president, that's Alhaji Ibrahim Gusau, who has been suspended. When you are suspended, you are still the president.
Yes.
Until otherwise stated.
Okay.
We now have an acting president. So we don't have two presidents.
But
When you have an acting president.
We have two AFN. The autonomous AFN, and then...
I don't know what you mean by autonomous AFN, but maybe I'll come to that. But let me just address some of the things he said.
Okay.
I didn't watch from the beginning, but I started watching where he mentioned the aspect of the union, that there is no union in track and field.
Okay.
And the question I will have put to him, how was Adeleye elected? That's the question I will have put to him. Because when Adeleye was elected, his vice was Chasima. That's the one that has taken over temporarily now, until elections are ahead. Then elections of a different constituency has nothing to do with the Congress. You don't need approval from Congress. It is like Dino Melaye. Look at the recall. It had nothing to do with the National Assembly. It is the electoral body that has the constitutional right to look at the petition against Dino. The same thing, the ministry was the electoral body rather, for the election of the athletes representatives. So they are the ones statutorily...
The representatives, is it a union? Are they members that these are certified members of the union? That is what he said.
They formed the union to do the election. You can't just do election. They formed the union to do election. Adeleye was the president.
Of the union?
Yes, Chasima was the assistant president, the vice president rather. And when Adeleye moved up, then Chasima became, well, maybe I should say acting. So for somebody to say there is no union, I don't think that is true.
Some of those signatures were forged. The same handwriting, writing the name, and the same handwriting, as signing.
Who did the forensic audit?
He said they did that. Even the permanent secretary acknowledged.
I disagree.
The permanent secretary acknowledged there that most of these things are forgeries.
It's unfortunate that I've been looking for that letter. Obviously, I've deleted it. There was a letter from the FEED, that's the Federation of Elite Sports in the ministry, acknowledging what the athletes wrote and recommending that after verification, Adeleye should be removed. If you read the letter of removal sent by the ministry to AFN, it was acknowledged there that the past minister had already approved it. I don't know if you can see that letter.
No, I asked him.
I think I have the letter here. I'm just telling you.
I did ask him, but he said that this is an elected member. That means that the ministry cannot ask them to remove an elected member. That Adeleye was elected.
It is the constituency that removed him, not the ministry. That's why I use the case of Dino.
But he said the executive board do not have power to that. They have to take it to the Congress. Do you agree with that? That the Congress has to approve the removal of any board member?
Did the Congress elect Adeleye?
In which process do you remove board members?
Did the Congress elect Adeleye? That's the first question I would have asked him. The Congress did not elect Adeleye. It is the athletes that elected Adeleye. This is the same thing with Nawis. The Congress has no power over Nawis. Nawis in August replaced a member in judo. And nobody said anything because it is within their right to do it, to recall. It's the power of recall. Okay. It happened to Dino. Yes, it wasn't successful. Did the National Assembly do anything? Because it has nothing to do with the National Assembly. This same thing has nothing to do with AFN. So I don't like people modeling up things. Go
on.
It's not right.
Yeah,
then he mentioned the permanent secretary. For me, that's the most annoying part. Because
why are you annoyed?
This permanent secretary you are talking about,
yes,
there was a letter in June from FEED approving the removal. So what was needed was, because there was no minister then, what was needed was for the permanent secretary to sign. After it has gone through due process, because before it could have gone through FEED, it must have gone through due process. But what happened? The permanent secretary did not sign it, for reasons best known to him. Not because of any forensic, because the forensic you are talking about had already been carried out. So I don't know what he's talking about.
You mean it was found that everybody who wrote that particular petition are authentic?
It's just now they are talking about 4G. Why didn't they talk about 4G then? It's just now they are talking about 4G. That's number one. Then number two, because I don't want us to be wasting time on this.
Go on.
It's clearly the at least matter. It has nothing to do with the Congress.
Address the issues that you want to address.
Then the second one, it says the Constitution. I remember you asked him about the Constitution empowering the ministry to appoint secretary generals. First of all, I think you should have quoted the section. If it is the same constitution that was presented to the Congress in 2017, I think that is the copy that you have there.
Yes.
That is the copy that was brought to the panel, the investigative panel in October, by the Secretary General, the then Secretary General of AFN, Elijah Ademu. It is the same constitution. And in that constitution, 8.7.2 stated clearly that it is the ministry that will set the terms and conditions of employment of a Secretary General.
Okay.
So how can somebody come here now and be telling you that it is not in the Constitution? The Constitution is midwifed. It midwifed the Constitution.
Okay.
Then you're talking about Congress, the CA. I'm happy he was able to correct himself that he wasn't here for the Congress. If he wasn't there for the Congress, then there was no need for an address by CA. Because if there was going to be an address by CA, that means he must have been invited for the Congress. And for crying out loud, how can you invite somebody, your supervisory body, to an internal matter? It's a Congress. That's if the Congress is legal anyway, because that's another aspect. The Congress is not legal. Then he mentioned the fact that
he said the second they've already passed the date for that was approved by by the board, and the secretary already sent letters before then, prior to that.
When did they send
which
the letter?
he directed,
When did they
that
send
is the
the
former, not this secretary.
No.
The other secretary, the former secretary, yes, sent that.
The former sent the letter
That is what came in
November 5.
Yes, exactly.
Elijah Ademu sent the letter on November 5.
Right.
That is the notice. If you are talking about notice, that is the notice for meeting. On November 5. Calculate between November 5 and December 4, how many days? 29 days. It's not up to 30 days. And the Constitution stated clearly in 6.1.4 that you need a 2 months notice.
They said for an extraordinary meeting,
check that Congress.
That
if you see
for
any
the extra
time frame for extraordinary Congress.
That is so that there's no time frame for extraordinary.
So why is he saying for extraordinary Congress? Even if you want to go by best practice, international best practices, extraordinary Congress or special Congress takes 3 months minimum.
But in this case, it was silent. So if it was silent, I mean, I don't think there is a status bar that says you cannot do this within this period.
I disagree with you.
If it is silent.
Look at the 614 that we talked about.
Because that
it said Congress. It didn't mention whether it was extraordinary or annual. Read the 614. It's a facts don't lie. This is black and white.
Go on. I'm listening to you.
So that is what the Constitution says. And the notice of letter, the notice sent to the states, I don't know if you have a copy.
I don't.
It read Annual General Congress. But people are now trying to change the rules of the game in the middle of the game. It's like saying there was no VAR in Manchester United and Manchester City match yesterday.
Okay. But then they went on to say, okay, fine, we are autonomous. I mean, anything wrong? Do you disagree with autonomy as it is, that federations should be autonomous? Whether AFN, whether NFF, whether anyone, do you disagree with the concept of them being independent and work on their own?
I don't disagree with the word autonomy because...
for the federations?
For the federations,
yes.
They are somewhat autonomous because they pick their teams, they run the federations. That's why they say the day-to-day running. But you have to define what autonomy means. Is it financial autonomy? Is it administrative autonomy? Is it political autonomy?
They don't have, from here, they don't have financial autonomy because, like you said, of course, the ministry funds most of these trips.
Yes.
They don't have, I don't think they have administrative autonomy because if the head of the secretariat is appointed by the ministry, how are they autonomous?
I think they do if you go by that constitution.
No, but the person that appointed...
The constitution says that the ministry will appoint for me. Is it the ministry's fault?
No, but,
who drafted this constitution? Meanwhile, this constitution is in 2017, not 2013, not 2008. This constitution was approved in court in 2017, and he midwifed it. So you can't be talking about administrative autonomy because they already have it. If the constitution has given the ministry the power, the AFN constitution. Even in this constitution, the power to dissolve the AFN lies with the federation, with the ministry. It is in this constitution. Go to 10.4, dissolution. It is there. I didn't write it.
Now, that is before they became autonomous. They said they are no longer members, they are no longer affiliated, they are no longer under the ministry. That right now they are autonomous.
When did they say that?
At their Congress.
Which Congress? There was no Congress.
How can you say there is no Congress?
When something runs foul of the law, it's a nullity. There's no Congress. And that's what people should know. It is clearly stated, I didn't write this constitution, that a 2-month notice must be given for Congress. It didn't say whether annual or extraordinary.
Not for
but
the...
let's assume there's a time frame for extraordinary. It is the notice that you send to states that will tell us the actual Congress you are calling. The notice says annual Congress. All of a sudden, at the so-called Congress proper, it became extraordinary. That's changing the rules of the game right in the middle of the game. That's never done. That shows we are lawless. We are going to an Obesian state, and we should be following the Constitution.
Okay.
So there are so many things I've heard. Then he was talking about not even receiving money in cash.
Yeah,
from the ministry.
No. It didn't say
I had
so.
that. No, I had that.
No,
most of them are in kind. And I will tell you, because he mentioned Abidjan now. Let me quickly run through Abidjan and Doha.
Okay.
In Abidjan, there was no approval before they went. They came back, and there was a 13 million naira approval. Till today, those young athletes he's so passionate about that Adeleye is supposed to be their representatives on the board. Those athletes have not collected a dime as allowance. Till I'm talking now, they collected 13 million, and the excuse they gave was that because there was a world release in May, because that championship was in April, there was a world release in May. They now use the money to prosecute the world release. Mind you, the world release is partly funded by AWF. That is our participation. Okay. They take care of 2 of the relay teams, 2 of each of the relay teams. AWF will take care of 2. When I say 2, accommodation and flight. Accommodation, of course, includes feeding. So, and they said they spent 13 million. That is, first of all, misapplication of funds.
But you have not seen the expenses for you to decide whether it was a misapplication. You said the IWF partly...
No, you're not getting my point.
Okay.
Misapplication means you are using money meant for
another.
To fund another
constitution. Not misappropriation.
I'm not talking misappropriation.
Okay.
There is the issue of misappropriation.
But they gave but like you said here, they said, look, okay, we know we are supposed to use this 13 million to pay the athletes for Cote d'Ivoire, but because we are having the world release, let us use it. When money comes, we cannot give to those guys.
Which money?
Money, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
And as the representatives of the athletes, what were you expected to do? Were you not expected to fight for the rights of your athletes? They are junior ones that we are talking about, not even the senior. Even the senior one that I'm talking about, as I'm talking now, they are still owing them $300 each for Doha. An approval for $92,000 was given. That's 35 million naira. Is what I have the documents. Was given. The president gave the Secretary General $38,000 to pay allowances of athletes and officials. After much haggling, the athletes agreed to collect $1,300. That's for 13 days, $100 per day. So when the secretary started paying, he found out that there was no way he could pay $1,300 for everybody. He now said, okay, they should take $1,000. So the athletes agreed that they will be paid the balance of the $300 later. 2 of the athletes bluntly refused. So they didn't even collect the 1,000. Unless you give us our 1,300, we are not collecting any money. And yet, the ministry approved $92,000. $38,000 was given to the Secretary General. The Secretary General said it himself. What happens to the remaining 54 million? The next question is, they pay for accommodation, they pay for flight, blah, 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 blah. But the IWF is in the if you Google IWF now, Google the prospectus for World Championship,
Yeah.
it's clearly stated that the IWF is responsible 100% for all athletes that qualify for the games, for the championship. All the 25 athletes we took there were taken care of, flight, accommodation, and feeding by IWF.
But if they claim, if somebody says, okay, I spent money on accommodation and on transport and other things, is there no evidence? Did they not present evidence?
He cannot claim
that?
that. That's what we are saying. IWF has already taken care of that.
No.
So what the board is not saying is that come and give us how you spend that money.
Good.
That's what we are saying. We are not saying you embezzled money.
Okay.
Just come and tell us how you spent the balance of the 54,000. Because the 100% subsidy was only for the athletes. Then 55% accommodation only for officials. So that means you take care of 45% for officials, that's 14 of them, and their flight. So remove that one from $54,000. So what was the other money spent on? Then he talked about Puma. And there was this thing, he said
it is in kind.
Wait, I'm not even talking about the money.
Okay.
That if you know what we went through to get, as if this thing is cast in stone, as if it is so difficult. If he wants to be truthful, in London in 2017, Tony Osheku and Patty Tanyi, they told him about Nike. Please, let's go and discuss with Nike. He dribbled them all through. Nike was very, very much interested in kitting Nigeria.
To the tune of $2.75 million?
It's only kits. If they're giving you kits, that's what's going to happen. Because, mind you, are signing for how many years? For 5 years. For me, that's even chicken feed. For 5 years.
All right.
And it's supposed to cover all the national teams.
Okay, before we leave, can we just take the sport landmarks for this week? Because, we're up there. Everything has to do with Lionel Messi. 6 Ballon d'Or. It is a record. And I tell you this, just yesterday, 53 hat-tricks. 35 of those hat-tricks in La Liga. That is your sport landmarks for this week. Okay, that is the man collecting his Ballon d'Or. Maybe, all right. That is sport landmarks. You're seeing that, and that is for the man they call the greatest, footballer ever. That is a pleasure having you here.
I think before I go, let me just chip in one word.
Okay.
Because I remember you said a lot of fake people came to the legal
Not
Congress.
Not me.
No, you claimed.
Not me.
And he replied. No, you asked. Okay.
Yes, okay.
Let me probably put, you asked the question and he replied.
Yes.
That they all sent letters.
Yes.
The Secretary General is the one that you receive all correspondences.
Okay.
Who is the Secretary General when the legal Congress was held? Did he receive any letter?
All right. I tell you this today. I must apologize. We didn't take calls for those of you who are waiting at home. But I tell you, when duty calls, you just have to face it. I'm Ken Ochonogo. Have a blessed Sunday.